what?
We're podcasting.
We are podcasting.
We've done this is our 100th episode with an asterisk, which means we did this once before but didn't hit record.
Forgot because you know why?
We were having a really good time. Yeah. We were drinking champagne.
But also we didn't have Casey. We got a shout out to Casey, who's been producing our podcast
and
like
editing
a superstar for such a long time now. We couldn't do it without Casey. We also can't do it without our husbands. Well,
we can't. I mean, we can't.
A lot of what we've done, we could. I technically probably could have been impregnated by somebody.
I know. I just literally walked that journey in my head. I was like, couldn't I have?
Yeah.
Like, well, listen, we're lucky to have them. We're excited that they are our guests for our 100th episode. Funny enough, like when we're, you and I were talking about like, who do we want? We like have the best time, like dream situation. Like who would we have? And I think it would have been easier to get just about anybody else than it was to get our husbands.
So hard to coordinate
because when your husband and you both are watching kids and there's no camp, you forget that you're like tag teaming all the time. So to have us both in the same room, this counts as date night.
Yeah, this was it. This was my anniversary and birthday present.
This is it.
We hope you enjoy the interview.
Yay! Guys, we're recording in a house with 4 kids. 1 babysitter, 1 21-year-old nephew. We think 4 dogs, probably a possum.
I hope somebody starts mowing the lawn.
There's definitely a
gardener
kitten here.
There's a kitten, and that is how we podcast. So if you hear noise in the background, we're doing the best we can. To schedule this to all of us get together has been like putting together. I've never.
It's like a 1,500 piece puzzle.
Yeah, it seems like we're cooler than we are because it's been so hard.
And also, I don't know if anybody else's husband is like this, but mine will automate everything and put a camera or device on everything. So every door chimes when it's opened, every window.
Well, I did do that in our house with ADT things, and then Kristin made me go around and take them all off.
Well, Kristin also hit it with a hammer.
Well, one time I was like, I'm not taking this off. And then she took a hammer and just knocked it off.
Well, because what I'll say to you, ADT, is don't keep alarming for no reason. And so then I just took a hammer to it.
ADT, you don't want to surprise somebody with the ADD because they react immediately. We've got the husbands here, so we might as well get down to some nitty gritty.
Right. We posted, first of all, we should actually tell the truth. We recorded this podcast.
Casey,
and it was delightful.
Recording it right now just because
it was delightful. We had done a podcast. We drank a lot of champagne. We had a great time. And then we realized we did not press record.
That's right.
So this is Britt, Jen's husband. And that was my fault.
It was not. It was all
It was my fault.
You have not been asked to speak yet. So
told.
Told to speak.
We are now back together. And we are going to take 2 on this bad boy. But we do have some really fun questions that you guys asked us on the podcast.
You asked so many
Instagram
great questions,
and just in general. And we're gonna fire some of these questions at the gentleman.
Well, you guys say hi, introduce yourselves because they don't know your voices.
Hi, I'm Colin Sweeney. I'm Kristin Hensley's husband.
I'm Britt. I'm Jen's everything.
Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you guys.
We've been asking so often for so many months. We're like, first of all, love your podcast.
It's so great.
Yeah, what's your favorite episode?
Yeah,
all of
episode.
them.
Well, yeah, we were talking. So we were like, it's episode 80.
80 is one of my favorites.
What's the title of that one?
Episode 80 is episode 80. IMOMSOHARD, right? And so for me,
I episode 80 so hard, I think is
Let's give them
out of this.
a moment of credit where credit's due. When we started doing the podcast in quarantine, these guys went through a lot of trouble to help us do it. So here you go.
Hi, thanks.
But there's your pat on the back. People really appreciate it. No, it was a lot of work. It was
so hard.
It was really hard to do it separately, and they recorded it, and it was a lot of moving parts, and they did that. So that's it. That's all you get. The first person who responded with a question first out of the gate.
Jen was posted the question, and then this came up, and she was like, "Colin, what is the best thing about your mother-in-law, Terry?" Asked by Terry.
Yeah.
So my mother has had a strong affection for Colin. If you ask her, she says dumb stuff like this. She always goes, I think Colin saved her life. And I'm like, God, wasn't that bad, was it?
I know, Colin. You've always mentioned that your mother-in-law is physically attractive. I know
Yeah.
that's where he always starts.
They
I
look
mean, he
like
he
they
always
look like
says-
sisters. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
She does steps with Leslie. I don't like to stand around. When I'm bored, I do steps with Leslie. You can do steps with Leslie, Kristin, if you just try.
She's got a great body for a 70-something.
Okay, there it
God,
is.
there it is.
That's what
Terry
she wanted,
just-
and you just gave her. You served it up.
That's gonna be all that Terry needs.
Here was my nice question I was going to start with. Because these came from the moms. So, you know what? I know you're going to do bits. You can't help it. But try and answer honestly a little bit. What is, okay, what? Oh, you had, no, what did you have? What is your favorite thing about, what is that?
Yeah, I guess my question, and I'll start with you, Britt, if I might, is we talked about this in the first one, and I thought it was really awesome because I think the way I worded the question is like, when did you know that I Mom So Hard was a thing, or what was that moment? Was the body hair video, and then it ended up a tour, and then all of a sudden we're families in a tour bus. Like, what was that like in your head?
I would say, I mean, there's such an evolution there. Like, I think the first video was a mess.
Yes.
You're going to have to talk.
Like the very this one,
it was. Yeah.
the very first one. Well, it was interesting because you guys really had no idea. It was like you guys had a plan, and then it was just off the rails, and. Like but
we
not
kept
the,
1 minute
not the one that you
of
posted.
Jen.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
No, we kept 1 minute. It was Jen forgetting Delilah's name.
I think that may have been, wasn't that the second actually? I think that was the second.
I can't remember.
I think there was a first where you guys were sort of saying like, oh, we
like
mom
threw
so
the
hard.
whole thing
Like we
together.
mom really hard.
Hey,
it was
man.
sort of like
we were trying to be petty.
no,
and
but also like
positive.
I was like, okay, yeah, good. Like
Well,
I
I'm
thought
gonna
that
walk
was
this back. Do bits, Britt. Don't
Do
tell
bits.
the
no,
truth.
but it was an interesting thing because it's like you guys walked away from that and you were like, no, like
I
absolutely
think
not.
we figured out what we were by trying out what we weren't.
Yeah.
Like we very quickly, once we made each other laugh, we were like, that feels good. And Jen forgetting Delilah's name felt like, I enjoyed that.
I just want to say that I am wearing
the shirt. I knew it.
in our 100th podcast episode.
But this looked so different.
It was
She
out
was
here because I
nursing,
had
and I just
2
am looking at
gallons
this
of
and I'm
milk.
like, these buttons were like, please.
They were like
I
really
think you had
hanging
like
over.
one of them unbuttoned
sure.
because you were just
I can't
like,
believe there's not enormous pit stains in it.
it looks really pretty, but it goes to show like how different like our bodies were just because we were like post baby.
Yeah, it was. When people comment and they're like, "Oh, you guys are so made up now," it's really we don't have toddlers anymore, so we have time to like
it
do
changes
stuff.
when
Yeah,
they can carry their own crap.
yeah. Well, okay. So
Well, it
what do
doesn't
you?
change
But wait, so the answer on that,
yes.
going back to me, right?
Please.
And
Sorry,
Colin,
Britt.
and
We circle
Colin,
back. We
was
circle back.
I really felt like by the second episode it was weird. You guys went away and you guys were kind of mad. Like you guys watched that first one, you guys looked at it and you're like, no, you.
Yeah.
We
sure.
didn't know what it was.
So, but then you guys like talked and sort of got back to what you guys had talked about doing, which was like sort of, I mean, it was just the second one was just honest, and it was an interesting switch because I saw the first one and I was sort of like, oh well, this will be who knows, a couple hundred people watching this or whatever, or that
That
kind of
sounded
thing, which
great
is
at the time.
which
I
is
didn't
great.
have anybody that
And then
was
and then you guys did the second one, and I was like, oh, that's it. Like it was interesting to see, like there were elements of what it would become in the second, and it was so different than the first. It was interesting.
And then I was driving to Britt and Jen's house, and I wore a dumb shirt that was a Rams shirt, and I got a speeding ticket and a cell phone ticket, and I was super pissed. And then I walked in, and I was like, I cannot record because I am upset. So they said, why don't you Uber home and have some wine? And I said, that sounds like a really good idea. And then a couple of 14 glasses in, I think Britt had set up everything, and I felt very confident we could record at that moment. And that's when we recorded Body Hair.
Body hair.
And
yeah.
I had spilled on my shirt. It was the only shirt I had. And we had Sharpie lips because we drank so much
It was
wine.
my brother had sent us a really fancy
expensive.
$17 bottle of wine.
Chateau Saint Michelle, if my memory serves.
Yeah, which brings me to I'm going to ask
Yeah.
one more question.
Yeah, please.
That's for Colin.
Finally.
Yeah, this Itach, I don't know. ITASCH is who posted it. Colin, does Kristin really have that much body hair? Everybody wants to know.
I would go.
I think
please.
for
There's a thoughtful pause happening.
Please
for a
tell them.
Czechoslovakian, I think she is very minimal.
I remember when we were first dating, I said, and this is in our first show, I did say to you, I said, this is my first time dating someone with facial hair. And you said, me too.
Wow.
Thank you. And then I think
bit.
I got pregnant.
And then we started tongue kissing.
You guys,
Gross, don't be disgusting
that's
right now.
what love is.
That is gross.
It's acceptance is what that is.
Okay, I have a good question.
Okay.
Now listen, you guys have to answer this because inquiring minds want to know. This was the #1 most asked question.
Yeah.
And we went down this road on the first take.
I'm a Leo.
Oh, God.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Okay,
Brett?
this was, in one way or another, this was the question that most women asked is, what is your favorite thing about your wife? And what is the thing that drives you most crazy?
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be idiots right now, guys. Let's have Britt take the lead.
Actually, I feel like Colin looks
Fine.
ready to answer
In my
that one.
husband's defense, he's never said a serious thing ever. So
I know, they don't have to be serious. Be better.
My favorite thing about Kristin is that she gave me 2 beautiful kids.
two.
I mean, it kind of really is.
Oh, let me ask
Look,
this
Kristin-
question.
Kristin
Somebody
Chris
is
else.
is not happy with that
Kristin is
answer.
taking that as an insult.
Well,
She's
I
like,
thought-
make it about me.
I thought you were going in a different direction because Kat Brown did ask, Colin ever gotten a birthday BJ from Kristin? I thought
yeah,
you
last
You bet-
decade.
You better watch it.
decade.
Don't go.
Decades.
Yeah.
You know what?
Back in the
I
aughts.
have a medical issue.
Yeah, we've
Just
heard
stop
that
it.
rhyme.
Small mouth, you guys.
I have a small mouth.
Two
and we
beautiful
know.
kids. That's a good
That's
answer.
2 beautiful kids. Let's get
Yeah.
off the BJ train.
That's
'cause
two
I didn't
Nobody's
get on the
getting-
BJ.
No,
I
I
got off
I'm
that
not getting
BJ
on
train
He's-
decades ago.
Oh
I
God,
just-
my children are gonna be like, "What's a BJ?"
I was in
Back
shock when I heard when he said she's given me 2 and
I
I thought
did
it was
too.
going
I
to
was
be
like,
BJ's.
I was like,
yeah.
"That's one more than I thought."
Yeah, I don't
I was
remember
actually
that. I'm
impressed with my numbers.
on a straight
Okay, so those answers are fine.
Okay, what favorite thing about me?
Yep, go, Britt.
Answer
Oh
smartly.
boy, here we go.
Don't.
Here we go.
Pass.
Come
Hold
on,
the audience.
Britt.
Fair
You
enough.
look so
All right.
much like Dashiell right now.
All right,
It's
so here,
incredible.
one of my answer.
Yes.
I like that Smedley is nice to people who need to be treated well.
That's very. That's
So she takes
so
care of
much nicer.
people who are having a hard time.
But if I think they're fine, I'm like, fuck them.
You just
No, you're a
self-deprecated
monster
yourself.
you're a monster to pretty much everyone else.
I'm
but-
going to take that clip and I'm going to replay it. Here you go, Colin.
What?
There's Britt's answer.
But you're not nice to people who need to be nice to.
And in Colin's defense,
Why would I give you that answer?
you want
She
Colin?
means say a nice thing, a thoughtful thing like that.
We
Like,
all have our journey.
well,
That's not my journey.
Okay, then this will be good. Watch this. This will come like very easy to
Okay.
him. What's the most annoying thing about me?
Wait, what was it? Mine?
Lack
Wait,
of organization.
That's mine.
Mm.
That's his for mine. Real fast. I got a few of my own.
So we're doing this honestly.
Yes.
Whoa.
Go.
What is Colin's shirt?
Striped?
Shots fired.
Yeah, that reminds me. The most annoying thing my husband does is correct the way I speak.
Because
No, I
what's
do- I
the
no
one that
longer
we
corrected
both
it. I
agree with?
didn't- I just
like
asked a question.
something else.
I asked a
or
question.
Anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah.
That you were wrong about that. If-
What?
I-
You guys are crazy.
We say
I use
anymore
the
in
stove
affirmative.
anymore.
Anymore, I use the stove.
Cook it in the
I-
crock pot.
See? That's how these people speak.
Oh, you're from
You
Texas.
use
so
anymore in a sentence.
Okay, this is how you would say it.
Yeah.
Like anymore, I just send the dry cleaning out.
Yeah,
I don't try
because
to press anything.
Yeah, I don't want to press it.
You get what that means, Colin? Oh,
No, because it's
no.
improper English
No, it's
grammar.
not.
Moving on.
We looked it up because we had a big argument about it. It is a Midwestern way of using the word. It is.
Like instead of
Yeah.
you say anymore, I'm just gonna go to the park myself. And
These dopes from the coastal regions would use it like this. I don't like that anymore. And you would never use it like in the
it's
affirmative.
also such a boring way of using the word anymore.
And it's also
I
upsetting
don't like
to
this conversation
I feel
anymore.
I have a question, and I'm gonna do 2 questions because if you need a second to think about this.
Okay.
What is the most embarrassing thing? Oh, I forgot to say the person.
Ooh.
What is the most embarrassing thing your wife has ever done? And it's from Dream Reacher 2.
Whoa. Dream Reacher 2.
I know.
I
actually,
did
she's
you-
my friend from Nebraska.
Because I know you talked about Dream Reacher 1 quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think the question is, what's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done? Tread lightly, sir.
The most embarrassing thing. Like,
Now, I don't
was
care that I
embarrassed-
embarrass you. Know that I embarrass myself, I think.
Oh, when you were on a commercial shoot, or no, in a callback, it was a very small room, and you bent over with your butt towards all the directors and producers, and you split your pants.
It's a
like
theme.
18 inches.
Oh, wow.
And you popped up and turned around.
You were
feel
in there,
like-
weren't you?
I was in there with you.
But I feel like you can blame that on shoddy craftsmanship. I thought you were going to say tooted, because I would do that. I would totally do that.
I have this thing about ripping my pants. I think it's because I don't have a waist and my pants ride low. So I've blown them out in San Diego. I blew them out.
Yeah.
Then, but
You also don't bend your knees when you
Well,
lean over.
Yeah.
You just-
Kristen, you can hurt your
There are
knees.
a couple of missing joints.
anyway,
Yeah.
what is the most embarrassing thing Jen has ever done?
No.
That's easy. We were riding bikes in Venice.
God damn it, that's my story. This is
And
put.
Kristen
Oh.
Kristen was on the sidewalk, and I was telling her not to do a lot of things that night. And she was riding on the sidewalk, and that front wheel just hit this big old bump and just stopped it.
That's not what happened.
Well, it's
Not
sort
what
of.
happened.
I rode between a pole and a fence,
That
and I
were
thought
about
I could
10
make
inches apart in a big old beach cruiser, and she hit the handlebars on it, and she flew over the
Oh,
handlebars.
interesting. I thought it
into
was the
the
big
middle,
bump.
into the middle of the concrete. And,
Yeah.
And all I saw was the concrete hit my. Why is this about me?
I know.
This
This
is
answer
the-
the question. What do you
about
think?
Well,
her.
I thought it was super embarrassing that Jen wasn't more supportive of Kristen
She
just
is.
then.
She
because-
listened to me. She listened
All
to me
right.
at the time.
I'll always have that moment where I laughed, and then Kristen will have the moment where the pigeon shat in my face, and she laughed.
Right, the
so
pigeon.
We're even Stevens.
Oh, that pigeon shitting in your face in
Went up my nose.
Pittsburgh.
That's
Went
good
in my
luck,
eyes.
by the way.
Everybody says that to her. She doesn't
should've
care.
bought a
So
lottery ticket.
if it's
funny.
if it goes in your mouth.
Do you
As
remember?
soon as you
like
can taste another
7
being
years.
shit,
7 years
it's
of
Good
good shit.
Do you remember, Britt, when that happened and Jen was
Distinctly.
screaming and you and I were both trying to get our phones?
nobody. I thought look at everybody fishing for a napkin or something. Nope.
That's a fun thing to think about is like after all of this happened, we ended up going on a tour with our families in a tour bus. And I have so many memories from there, but our kids have like a whole different, like Delilah doesn't even remember it because she was 2.
She did
It
her
was
like
the
her.
greatest experience of my kids' lives.
That's
Her
all they
first
think
word?
about is going on another tour.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
yeah.
the whole thing smelled so bad. And there were pool noodles put on everything because it was all like eyebrow height
everybody's
to
gonna
every
bang
kid.
into- yeah.
We had to do our laundry in every venue we went to because we all like the kids were barfing and like, but it was so magical at the same time. On the outside was this beautifully polished picture of Jen and me, and on the inside was like pink eye.
Our pants pulled up to our armpits,
Yeah.
stinking. And also, I remember when we got the tour bus, I was like, gosh, my kids are in car seats. They're going to be in those for a long time. Like, I didn't even know how a tour bus worked.
And then we had
Yeah.
Roy, our bus driver.
Yeah.
You know, the tour was all brand new for us, and it was like our brains were exploding. We were going city to city. We had the kids with us. We were tired. There was so much going on. And I remember one night we were doing a show somewhere, and it got rowdy. And this is always what happened to us. We would tell the venues, hey, up your number, like get more booze.
Yeah.
And get more security because these shows were so fun. It was like such a joy, but they were so insane. And women would go out and get just hammered. And we said, like, you're going to be surprised. And they would always go, well, it's just a couple of moms coming in. How bad can it be? And they were like, we're out of booze. We had to go to the grocery store and get it at this giant venue. And so one night we had this code word, which was peach schnapps.
Peach schnapps.
Because we did have a woman rush the stage and she had a broken wrist already. So we were like, we can't have that happen. So one night these women were getting really rowdy. We thought a fight was going to break out. And we have this word, peach schnapps. And there was no security to help us except Roy was there. And all of a sudden he was backstage. And then like the little ninja he is, he popped out in the middle of that crowd and handled those
It's like
women.
I saw her coming.
I was like, I
It's
don't
like
know.
Kevin Costner from The Bodyguard.
Totally.
Yeah.
I will actually say something because
Totally.
She's a shapeshifter. That's why.
At the end of the tour, Roy said to me, thank you for entrusting your children and your family with me.
Oh,
I know, he's lovely.
Like he was like, and I was like, I didn't really think of it that way, but he was driving for 10 hours a day with everyone walking around in the back and stuff.
He was a lovely person, and
why didn't we have Roy on this episode instead of these guys?
That'd be a good question. I have a question from Wit and JJ 2002. Her question is, what is the best memory of the four of you together?
Oh, that's a fun one.
Which I think is a fun one. Ooh. Do you have one?
I do. Actually.
Okay.
Oh, what?
So we went to Hawaii.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And so now Hawaii was after you guys had worked a lot.
Yeah.
And so we
4 years
went to the same hotel, and the hotel
because they had a show the night before.
Yeah. And so and then we couldn't afford the drinks, so we went to Costco and we bought a lot of booze.
Smart for the drinks.
And then we all had these like pineapple
glasses.
So we were just
which you would find on Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Which were they were literally like beacons of light of that we did not buy the booze that we were.
We looked like we were supposed to get on an airplane to Fort Lauderdale,
Yes,
Florida,
yes.
and it accidentally landed in Hawaii instead.
Yeah, Colin was like throwing everyone in
Also,
the air, like in the pool. Like,
I thought he was. Anyway, can you talk about the romper that you got? Here's the thing about Britt. Everybody asks us if our husbands get along, and they get along so well. But the thing about Britt is Britt can talk Colin into doing just about anything.
Here's the best thing about me. I am not a idea guy, but I am an action guy.
Yeah.
If that ain't the truth, I don't know.
That's so true.
You can count on it.
I say that about Finn too. Like he's never gonna have the naughty idea, but he's like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good.
He's your yes. He's the number 2 guy. He's not the fall guy. He's not the guy that comes up with the idea. He's the fall guy. He's like, somebody will be like, it'd be really fun if you did
Colin
this, and he'll go, yes.
Right. Colin looked great in the romper.
So this is why
he did.
It's all talk until Sweeney does it.
Exactly.
Please talk about what the romper included, because I was
not happy. Where you got it, and how much it cost.
We were there in July,
in
which
Hawaii.
Means it was just 1 month past Pride Month.
Yep.
So in the clearance items,
things were on sale.
Yeah.
We needed some clothing
at Costco,
and Colin it was a top that connected to the shorts, right?
They call them rompers.
Right. And it's sort of if you know the Lifesaver, the fruit stripe Lifesaver variety.
The rainbow.
It was a pride rainbow from head to toe. And by the way, it was a tad short for him, so
it was confident.
Things were packed
and so,
to the sides that.
For me, walking into the hotel, which we were staying in the nicest hotel we've ever stayed in.
Here's what I'll tell you about the hotel. They gave us a discount if we agreed not to post.
Yeah, just to give you an indication. But I'll tell you, Colin did walk into that lobby very confidently, and I was like, who is this billionaire Italian that just walked in here?
Yeah.
And it was Colin.
The bigger of a dick you look like in a fancy hotel.
Well,
if you're confident, he was confidently strutted in.
Own it, yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot because, and it really is it's a head turner. It's like,
wow, that's bright.
Jeez, who is that?
Who makes that in a
some
double
sort of,
XL?
that's obviously some sort of rapper,
buzzed Irish man dressed in the
no, it's like that.
Pride parade.
It's literally like I should know who that is, honey. Who is that?
I know you really like to sell this. I just wanted us to, for the first time, I was like, wow, this is the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in by like $1 million. Like, let's pretend we're like
belong here.
Classy. Nope. Not even for a day, Britt. Thanks.
Well,
but here's my favorite part. At some point, we were having a cocktail hour at a side bar in the hotel, and I was wearing my Pride romper, talking to, I believe, the retired rear admiral of the Pacific Fleet,
like the number 2 guy in the military. That guy was awesome.
Yeah,
that's what you get at fancy hotels.
On a fancy hotel, it's like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm the second most important person in the military of the U.S.
I forgot about that.
Awesome.
I
want to do
a
shots?
$4 billion budget every year.
What's your favorite memory on the Hawaii thing? The 4 of us?
No, that's super fun. I like our first New Year's Eve together when we did running charades at Britt's old apartment.
Really fun. Yeah.
Because we were so entranced in our game night that we were annoyed that it became midnight, and we're like, "Oh, I guess we got to kiss real quick." Okay, back to the game.
But we pushed it back. Everyone's like, one more game, and then we'll do New Year's, right?
Then we'll pretend it's New Year's. It's New Year's somewhere. It was fun. It was really fun. What's yours?
Okay, I have this question. Wait,
I want to know what your favorite memory is.
My favorite memory of us is,
Oh boy.
No, I'm sorry. That's a long part. I didn't know we were gonna. I didn't know that we were gonna ask me, but I think it probably had to be when we did our first live show in Omaha, and these guys came with us, and Colin had helped us get the show together. Britt had to. We did it in their living room and invited our friend Dana over to watch it. And we were like, "Is anybody going to show up?"
Yeah, we wrote it in 3 days. We had 1 day to rehearse, really 1 day, and we were like, "Do not hold back on notes for real. We need help." And the show was pretty solid. And then we were memorizing as fast as we could. And then I remember we walked in Omaha, and I was like, "How many people are really going to come see us?" And there were so many. I remember my stomach, I had to keep pooping the whole time.
Yeah.
And I would have to cross a hallway of 50 feet. And if you just could go on the side of it, it would just me crossing back and forth 1,000 times.
But it was such a team thing because the guys
so cool.
were just as nervous and excited and kind of surprised as we were. So
yeah,
it
was
was
awesome.
Wild
it was awesome.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
All right, let's give away a prize.
Okay.
Do you want to give yours? What's your favorite? Oops, sorry, I just hit the microphone.
I think we've had many, many, many days of shooting together that ended up in hysterical laughter, and those are some of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Whether it was Colin making fun of me and then you guys laughed, or Britt was making fun of me and then you guys laughed, or Jen was making fun of me and then you guys laughed.
Yeah.
It just was.
Those are good times.
Those are good times.
So many.
So many fun times
many,
like that.
so many.
I changed my answer. My favorite thing about Kristin isn't the 2 children she bore me. It's the fact that she's okay with us laughing at her.
Yeah, that's fun. That's one of my
She
favorites.
can take a joke better than anybody in the whole world.
She will
Thank
laugh
you.
harder than anybody else.
Yeah, it's a
in
love
that.
language.
Yeah.
It means you're popular.
Let's give away a couple prizes.
go.
We're going to give away grand prizes here. Being Lydia, you're going to get something exciting. Maybe a wall lamp. Who knows?
Please don't make me read.
Doreen
Lynn Dix.
Ooh, that was
What's
my
up?
nickname in high school. You got something back?
Wait, is that a joke? No, that's her real
a
name.
person. Yeah.
I don't-
Beffy 45.
She says, "I wish I could remember our name for the Christmas sweater thing so I could hashtag it." I don't even know what that means.
All right. They were at the Looped event.
Oh!
So you know, there is a pile of these on the center of the table that Casey did it. She's more honest, fair,
Yes, she
better
really
looking,
did.
younger than all of us. So I'm just randomly grabbing. And Sitaro, Kathy Sitaro, you're getting something nice too. Don't mix those up, Britt.
Yeah, we're gonna send. Here's
Here,
the thing: in case you are just
gosh.
listening for the first time, we have a storage unit full of crap, and we want to send you guys stuff. So
Yeah.
that's you guys are winning right now. We're gonna do this for several episodes because we've had such fun
Got a
doing
lot
it
of
so
it,
far.
yeah. And we got a lot of crap too.
Yeah, and
so.
if you guys get something from us, please post a picture of it so we can see it. 'Cause
Yes,
it's hilarious.
It's so
to
fun
us.
for us to see the worlds collide. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
a neat thing which that was what when we did that show in Omaha, we were like, oh, there are people watch. It's real people. It's not just numbers
Yes.
or clicks or whatever. That's fun. I don't know why you're smiling like that, but I do have another question. Is
Somebody's
Colin
making
yawning?
fun of
Do you
me
want,
right
do you
now.
want to know why I'm smiling?
Why?
Because Colin's going to get in trouble. Do you
Why?
wanna know
Why?
Because this is the truth of IMOMSOHARD.com is that Colin and I, this is the banter's the same, but we're on camera. So normally what Colin and I do is we're helpers. And then as helpers, we don't have to stay totally engaged.
He's gonna
at
zone
times.
out.
So,
He just zoned out to me.
So Colin's in, for those people watching at home, Colin's just sort of locked in on the floor for a little bit.
Okay,
And,
well-
and he's going to be in big trouble.
This is where he
I'm
went.
going to
gonna
tell you
be-
exactly what I was thinking about. When you said you have a storage unit full of crap, I didn't like that word. And I was thinking, what's that word for stuff that's at the Smithsonian? And I kept thinking, memorabilia. I was thinking nostalgia, no paraphernalia.
Some
no.
of it is.
Some of it is.
Some of it it's crap.
Some of it's also
So
paraphernalia.
that's what I was
too.
zoned out thinking. I was like, what is that word?
Well, here you go. Here you go. Layup
Jesus.
question for you, gentlemen.
Okay.
You're going to have to discuss this amongst yourselves for an answer. Key Lime Katie would like to know if the husband.
Key Lime Katie.
Yeah, that was
Dream Reacher.
that was Brit's
Dream
nickname in
Reacher
high school.
2.
Okay, if they hosted a podcast together, what would it be about? If you two?
It would be about Kristin and Jen, probably.
Oh, no.
nice.
If it wasn't,
It would be
about
about sports. It'd be about some weird, like, mumbly conversation about some weird. You guys always do this thing where you guys talk and then you fill in the blanks before the other person is done talking. So you're like, did you watch the?
It's
yeah,
called being
did
in
you
a
see
relationship.
Yeah, it was with the
Jeez
Ron.
Louise. Yeah, we finish each other's sports references.
There's a mom, and she asked this question. I thought it was great. Rachel Williams, Reno, asked the question. So if you could choose any sports date with your wife, what would it be? And I know you're going to say that Rams game.
June 6th, 1994.
I thought you were going to say the Rams game that we all.
No, it was the
Missed.
Rockets game against the Knicks that we all missed because O.J. Simpson was fleeing the scene. So they preempted the game, so I didn't
Jeez.
get to watch it.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's a weird.
Colin, that doesn't answer any of those
our
questions.
You said a sports date.
You would take me
June
to
6th, 1994.
a date on calendar, a date, like date night.
You're just as likely to go to that as you are to any other sports date.
Answered it like, what's the best date ever?
May
22nd, because it's not too hot and it's
not too cold.
It's lit. No, a date with
your wife.
God, now you got to answer it. What's your best sports date on the
Sports
calendar?
date, not a sports date.
I don't know if you remember O.J. Simpson.
Oh
All
my
counts.
God. Shut up.
All right, here's another question.
Okay.
I feel like my husband's going to have an answer out of the chute
Okay,
for
I
this
have a
one.
good one.
Colin, I don't know about you. So Christy Becker wants to know, what is your favorite thing to do or guilty pleasure while mom is on the road?
Yeah, when we're out of town, is there a guilty pleasure?
I would say the honest answer is that the kids sleep in our bed, and that's nice, and it's also just easy.
I was going to say you guys go to Black Bear Diner all the time. They'll have pancakes like 3 meals a day.
There's nothing wrong with Black Bear Diner. I've
Right?
been there
Nice
before.
diner.
Well, it's open at 5, and if
Oh,
the kids
that's
are up
nice.
at 5:30,
They get up that early?
they back when you guys like early on,
When
they
you were
were
little.
up so early, and I could just go in there, and it was like, it's a table, you're at a booth, they're contained.
Yeah.
Like you'd be there for a couple of hours. It was like, just get me to 8 a.m.
God.
Just give me to 8 a.m. Well, you guys, all jokes aside, have been very supportive in what we do, and we couldn't have done it without you, and that's the last time I say it.
Fruckman.
Oh, boy. Hey.
Fruckman 90 wants to know,
Hey,
because this sounds like
I'm married.
best or worst moment as a dad.
I've got
Okay,
a couple
I have
for
my
Colin.
worst. I have my worst for sure.
Oh, I've got 2 for Colin. I've got 1 for Britt. I think I know this story only because I know this story. If it's what I think you're.
Okay,
gonna
so
say.
the worst easily for me is when Dashiell
That's
had the pacifiers. He had these pacifiers, which were these teddy bears and connected to the pacifier, and lots of kids have them. But so he would have
They're
that in his
very
mouth
cute.
all the time, like nonstop. And so we talked to him. We're like, look, when you turn 3,
Giving it up.
this end of the passy,
And he's very
okay?
logical.
And he was
He's
like,
like,
yep, okay, agreed. And so I had it in my mind. I'm like, and he was like, okay, it was like the end of it was the end of the night, and it was like he had to go to bed, and so he had his passy in his mouth with the red bear, and so so I was like, okay, so we agreed to this. I'm like, you have to stick to your guns as a parent, and it's like we agreed to this, so I'm gonna go through with this, and then someone had said, well, you can also just you can give them the bear and take away the
Just cut the
pacifier.
end off.
So I'm like, he's like freaking out about losing this. And I'm like, I'm just going through this. And I was like, it was like, it's an assassination. It was too late to stop. And so I got these scissors out. But these scissors out. And so he's like looking at me.
Sweetest 3-year-old.
I mean, he's
face.
very nice person. And I pull the bear away from the pacifier. and I just take the scissors and go right and cut between the mouth of the bear and the pacifier and cut that. And just the look, and as the whole time I'm doing it, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I committed to this act of parenting? And I cut it, and the scream from him, I just killed the thing he loved more than anything.
In a violent,
like in front of him.
Catch me, dude. Yes.
And then I tried to give him the teddy bear. He didn't want the teddy bear was dead to him.
It was dead to him.
Like it was dead.
Patsy was dead to him.
What did I just do? Like,
God, I'm glad he has no memory of it.
But I do know what you did next, and it was you held him for 45 minutes and talked to him while he bawled, and then he went to bed and he was fine. And
Britt wasn't fine.
No. Yeah, Britt's
that
not
one.
Okay.
I've got 2 for Colin. Can I do them?
Sure.
Okay. I've got 2 big ones. Number 1.
I got some for you too, sister. So
that's not what this podcast is about. Do your own podcast. Number 1, world's worst haircut for our son in the history of time. Number 2, losing Eleanor at the Alani pool when we were not staying at the Alani hotel. And I told you not to go there. I told him, don't go there. You're not allowed. We're not staying there. They'll never know. And then we lose our daughter, and they're like, well, okay, what room are you in? Maybe she went back to the room. And he was like, we're not staying here. And then they're like, well, what are you doing here? And then they had the entire staff looking for her, and she was terrified, and he was super upset
because they're like, we're Disney, it's still on us.
Yeah,
if we,
But the haircut for Finn was the thing. I thought I was on bed rest with Eleanor, and so Colin had to do
By
so
the way,
much.
it was Britt's idea that he take Eleanor to the Alani pool. I'm sure.
Okay, because if that's true, you and I are going to be mad.
By the way, Alani's overrated.
Okay, but don't bury the lead here.
It's too expensive.
I
don't like it. I
don't like it.
It's not worth
it. Having not paid to be there,
we didn't pay to be there. We did not have a
We paid
hotel.
to go to the luau.
Yeah, we went to the
luau.
luau.
The luau was not good.
I know.
And
Colin in his head was like, well, I paid for the luau, so I guess I should be able to use your pool.
No, I think that's right. I think
just
we
want to go
overpaid
down
for
that
the
slide a
luau.
couple times.
Well, he lost our daughter. That didn't go well.
She didn't follow directions.
Then he took our son.
I haven't heard this story.
Beautiful,
Colin's having the time of his life.
Curls.
The slides.
She loved the slides. Finn did not love the slides. There's 2 slides side by side with long walks. As Disney is, there's long lines. And Finn would only go down the slide if he did the tandem one. Eleanor was like, I don't need you guys. I want to go down the single. And I go, that line's going much faster than this, Eleanor. I go, I will let you go down there if you immediately come find us back in this line. She's like, got it. And she went down.
She was 5.
It was
a
really long time. And I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, man, she should have come back by now. And then finally we gave up and we went looking for her and we could not find her for like
Where was she?
7 minutes.
She was a nice family from Iowa.
Yeah,
she was like getting snacks on their tab, going back to their room.
Find where the steps were, so she immediately went and found an employee, like a reasonable person.
Yeah, hi. Can you help me find my
well-raised
dad?
girl.
We don't have a room here.
So
we
it's
jumped the
hard.
fence to take a turn on the old pool slide. Is that cool? Okay, great. His name's Colin Cheap Sweeney.
Yeah. And then you gave that haircut to Finn.
I didn't give her a haircut.
Finn.
I went to the place that Kristin told me to go.
I was in the back, on my back, in the back of the car for Finn's basically first haircut. And I said,
so I'm sitting in the chair, and Finn's on top of my lap, and I tell the...
That's how she was for the first child.
That was exactly how it was.
And then there's Eleanor.
What's up?
And then we went to a hotel.
And I told
Britt, is it upsetting I keep high-fiving Colin? Or is that...
Go ahead. Finish it out.
I tell the barber lady, hey, barely take any off. And she goes, got it. And she goes, zzz, on one side. And I'm trying to make Finn, like, not squirm. And so I'm not paying attention to the hair. And she turns the chair to the mirror so I can see it. And she goes, is that too short? I go, yeah, my wife is going to be so mad. And she goes, well, what do you want me to do? I go, even it out. Like, we're not going to, this is 2011. Those, like, half-shaved heads aren't cool yet.
Do a tattoo on that side.
He had super tight curly hair, so you could see parts of his scalp. It looked like somebody had, like, shaved him bald and then dipped him in, like, fake hair, just, like, splotches.
So as we're getting in the car, because Kristin wanted to be there but couldn't literally stand up because of bed rest with Eleanor. And before she sees him, I go, I did not ask for this. I told her, and then I showed her, and then she was so mad that she waddled into the yellow balloon and complained.
I was on my back and I called.
Carry me in there calling.
Furious. And I was bawling, and I was like, my feet were out of the window wearing Uggs, and I was like laying on my back of our RAV4 because it was so spacious, and I was like, "You've ruined my son's hair. I'm on bed rest. I'm very emotional." I was so mad. It took forever for it to grow out. I was
I
so
didn't
mad.
do that. That was not my fault. Losing my daughter was my fault.
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Last question? Maybe last question. Depends
Maybe
on
last
how,
question.
How
I
interesting.
I have one last
okay.
question for him. Britt, I'll start with you.
Oh, shit.
What? Okay. When we shot the swimsuits video, I remember being terrified that I didn't want to post it. And then Jen, jury's still out, sort of illegally posted it, making me think I said it was okay. But then she was like, "I thought you said it was okay."
It's not always
and then
a
she
clear
posted it.
I can't.
And I was not ready. I was unsure if I wanted to post that video just because I was self-conscious and I was like a little bit shy. What I remember, you had very strong thoughts and feelings about that video in particular. Do you remember?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jen has said to me before, "You're awesome," but she's also said, me. Yeah. So that in the world of acting, that your biggest strength is what you think is your biggest weakness is actually your biggest strength, is your greatest.
So I should be really proud of my cellulite.
So in terms of like, which is like, people are always afraid of things like, in terms of like they and they should just harness that thing. So that's always stuck with me. But for when you guys did that, it's like, there's not a single, the only people who like swimsuit shopping are the people in the catalogs wearing them. Like no one else.
The catalogs.
The catalogs, right?
Yeah.
I get them all. I get J. Crew.
Yeah.
The back page of the newspaper.
Yeah,
He's got
exactly.
a "What's Up Doc" tattoo. I don't need to.
When I was in the war, all we had were catalogs and dreams.
I'm sorry, I derailed that as you said catalog.
No, you guys did that, and Kristin was not a fan of it.
I was just self-conscious.
But you were like, "There's no way." Like you were terrified.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, "This is everything." Like in terms of like for everything of like, I what you guys sort of captured in the world of like that moms don't need to have yoga bods and be aspirational all the time and can be honest and are dealing with a lot of things besides sort of looking and acting their best. It's like, there is survival involved and that counts for a lot.
Right.
So that you guys were doing this and making fun of this horrible process of having to recently giving birth to a number of people and then having to walk around a pool with a swimsuit on.
It's like a
my
sick
favorite
joke.
thing about those swimsuits that they had was they didn't have to like dig deep for those.
No,
they just went
everybody
to
asks us
the
that.
biggest store in the world, not Walmart, which is Target, went to
TJ
the
Maxx.
section.
Yeah.
And like grabbed a bunch of suits in like 20 minutes, and they are ridiculous suits.
We didn't shop for 15 minutes.
No,
I remember you were
we
at
didn't
one
have
rack.
time to.
We didn't have time. She was at one rack. I was at another rack. I go, "This one's so dumb, and this one is offensive, and this one is super stupid. I think these are mine." And then she found hers, and we were like, "This is too easy."
Yeah, it's ridiculous how easy it was for you guys.
And
to
there
find
was
those
one
stupid
that I was
suits.
glad we didn't use. I think Jen was like, "No,
I'm
like,
not letting you do that.
That one
No.
I was like, "Oh," because like it's terrifying. It's like coming out naked.
But in my defense, we had edited this video
know,
like
that was
6 or
on me.
7 times, and I remember you distinctly saying, "I think it's close. I think we need one more pass." So you said, "I think we need one more pass." So we did one more pass, and when you watched it, you said, "I think it's about ready." And I was like, "I think that's as yes as she's going to be on this."
That is not a yes.
And post.
In post.
And
That-
post.
well,
And I got to the
did
airport
think
and
that-
I go, "I think I'm okay with you posting the video." And Jen was like, "Oh,
I thought you
I
said
already
that.
posted that video." And I was like, "What?" And then we got on the airplane and we went to Seattle. So it was a 2-hour flight. And I just remember when
Colin just yawned.
Colin.
Colin just yawned.
Colin hates Seattle. Colin, sweetie, is now blushing. He's in
because it's
trouble.
fucking recorded.
He's in
He
trouble.
just yawned.
It's so
I just took a deep
aggravating.
breath.
No, you
Sorry.
didn't. You try, but when your eyes water and your mouth makes a big circular
tell by
shape.
the nostrils too when they flare like that. You're trying to keep it in, kind of. You can do it.
And that's what happens when we're recording a video. So if it's not super funny, we have to take it up a notch so Colin Sweeney doesn't yawn. And that becomes a great video because we have this guy like, I'm about to snooze as an audience member. That's it. That's my thought.
Well, I think
our video did well in case anybody cares. The swimsuit video really
it did fine.
You
Yeah,
have any
it did
thoughts about
great.
that video, Colin?
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be your biggest video, hands down. You said that you told me that you didn't want to post it because it embarrassed you, and I said, well, that's fair because it's embarrassing. But if you don't want to post it, you don't have to post it because you're the master of your domain. But I'm going to tell you, if you do post it, it's going to get a gajillion hits because it's the greatest, most hilarious video ever.
I appreciate that, but here's what I will say. There are times that I go to Britt about things and not Colin because Britt knows how to say things in a nice way that are kinder. Whereas my husband's like, you have every right to be embarrassed.
That's an embarrassing
That's
video.
an embarrassing video. Whereas Britt would say, no, it's great. Like you're doing it.
But you can read through that bullshit devil speak. When someone says, oh, you're so brave, you're like, go fuck yourself. Don't you? I know what you're saying.
Don't say the F word, right? They're all literally outside Colin.
Well, Britt also does know how to say things in an asshole way if he chooses to.
Britt,
make sure it's all sugar-coated. But you guys have been really supportive.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Happy 100th episode.
Thank you for having me.
Great job, Colin.
Britt.
Yeah.
We just podcasted.
Episode 80 is no longer my favorite episode.
80.
It's 103.
Yeah. Casey, turn their mics off.
Hey, thanks for having us. This has been great.
Thanks for listening to us. I'm sure this is going to be a huge letdown for everybody. Like, why did we want to listen to them so bad?
Well, at least we've scratched that itch and we can move on.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Move on. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.